Take your toes together, knees a little wider apart, and just sink hips back onto heels. And just starting to notice your breathing. Allowing your spine to soften. And if child's pose is a little too intense for you, you can also take a similar position just on your back, hugging your knees into your chest. Another option. Wherever you are, just allowing your spine to soften. Letting your head be heavy. Letting your breath flow in deep, even inhales. Soft, slow exhales. Maybe beginning to develop your ujjayi breathing, the gentle contraction in the back of the throat so that each breath becomes textured. Eyes softly closed, tuning into that deep yogic breath. Allowing your thoughts to come to the body, to the breath. And at the bottom of your third exhale, if you're in child's pose, start to slowly roll up. If you're on your back, just stay where you are. From that seated position, just rock to one side and roll onto your back. Nice, we're all ending up flat on the back. Hug your right knee into your chest and slowly extend your left leg long. Use the hands to start a gentle stirring movement with that right leg. circles with the right knee in one direction and then the other. Keep your deep breathing flowing. And then just hug that right knee in nice and tight. Deep breath in. Slide the hands to behind the thigh. Flex your right foot. Toes draw back, heel starts to press gently up towards the sky. Lengthening the leg as you breathe, maybe drawing circles with the toes in both directions, rolling out the ankle. And then flexing and pointing your foot back and forth. On your next exhale, soften that knee once again. Drawing thigh bone in towards the chest. Keep your left hip heavy, left leg active. On an inhale, extend. Just press through the right heel. Lengthen the leg. You can either keep the hands behind the thigh, or if you'd like to move the stretch a little deeper, if there's length behind the knee, you can slide the hands up higher. If there's a bend at the knee, keep your hands below your thigh and really work at lengthening the leg. You can even take the leg further away from your torso in order to get that length, that stretch. Breathing here. And as you exhale, soften the knee into the chest once again. On an inhale, open your right knee out and up to the right. You can release your left hand, even taking it to the earth. Alongside your body, use the right hand to guide that knee in and up. Nice. Just a gentle opening through the inner thigh of the right leg, the right hip. Keeping the left hip heavy, energy in the left leg. And then if you like, you might just stay here or slide your hand to the right thigh, flex your right foot, and on an inhale, start to lengthen that right leg. Again, working to keep that left side body long, left hip rooted down. On an exhale, bend the knee, hugging it back in. And one more time, inhale to lengthen the leg. Out and up to the right. Maybe this time sliding the hand up a little higher if it feels good. Maybe bringing hand to ankle or to foot. Exhale, bend the knee, bring the knee back to center, and then just gently let the right knee cross over the body all the way to the earth on the left. Good. Open your right arm, and maybe you follow it with your gaze. If that's too deep in the spine, you can bend your left knee, stacking knees on top of one another. Maybe moving your right arm gently up and down in a crescent shape. Like the crescent sun that the eclipse created today. One more breath here. And as you finish your exhale, roll back onto your back. Hug both knees to your chest and just rock a little side to side. Keep your left knee hugging into your chest, using both hands. Lengthen your right leg and relax that right leg down. Good. Starting with a stirring motion, taking movement into that left hip, circles with the knee in one direction. And then the other. And pausing with the knee at center, slide your hands to behind the left thigh. Flex your left foot, heel lifts, toes bend back. And then start to press the heel up towards the sky. Inhale, lengthen. Maybe drawing circles with the toes on the ceiling in one direction and then the other. Try to keep your breathing connected here. Flex and point to your foot. And then on an exhale, soften the knee, hug the thigh back in towards your chest. On an inhale, flex the foot, lift through the heel, lengthen the leg. Have a chance here if you have length behind the knee, maybe sliding your hands up a little higher, drawing the left thigh bone in a little closer, all the while rolling your left hip down. So instead of letting it lift off the earth, you roll it down and back. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, soften the left knee back in towards your chest. Start to open the left knee out and up to the left side of the body. Keep your right foot flexed. Keep the right side body anchored to the earth. Maybe your right arm opens out. Just hugging that left knee in and up. Maybe you start to lengthen the left leg. And here as well, you can play around with flexing and pointing your foot. On an exhale, bend the knee, bring it back in. And inhale to lengthen out and up to the left one more time. You can slide your hand a little higher if you like. And allow your exhale to bend that left knee in and bring it all the way to your chest. Take it across the body. Left knee to the ground on the right side of you. Open your left arm up, looking over that left palm. If you like, you can bend your right knee as well, stacking knees on top of one another. Maybe taking some gentle movement with your left arm, just bringing it up and down in a sweeping movement, a little opening in that shoulder. Another deep breath here. And then roll onto your back. Hugging both knees to your chest. Rock a little side to side. Take your hands to the back of your thighs and start to rock from head to tail. If it feels good to rock on your spine, you can take a few rolls. If you're ready to be seated, just pause at the top. We'll all meet there, just resting on the sits bones. Cross at your ankles. Tuck your feet in and then roll to hands and knees. Shoulders over wrists, hips over the knees. Start to move with your breath as you inhale, lifting chin and tailbone. As you exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale to float. Exhale to round. Flowing through, inhale to rise. Exhale to round. And then beginning to move more fluidly if it feels good in your body. Rolling through your spine, your hips and shoulders. As it feels good. Slowly making your way back to stillness through a few breaths. Eventually finding your neutral spine. Power up your shoulders. Engage your core. Feel your belly button lifting in and up. Slide your right foot back. Flex your foot. Your toes are on the earth. Get your toes are on the ground, and then just push gently into your hands for a little calf stretch. So you're pushing your weight back into that right foot. Keep your core strong. And then taking that pushing motion out, rock your weight back into your hands. Slide your left finger forward. Start to hover your fingers and toes. Lift up to create a straight line with the body. Good. Keep the core in and strong. Deep inhale. As you exhale, curve your spine, drawing knee and elbow towards one another. Round your back, squeeze in as tight as you can. Inhale, open up. Exhale, squeezing in. Inhale, exhale. Exhale, in nice and tight. And inhale, open up. Keep your right foot hovering, lower your left hand. Turn your left toes out and start to stack your right hip over your left. Good. Float your right fingertips up towards the sky. If it's too hard to balance here, lower your right foot down to the ground. Good. Breathing deeply, lengthening through the body. And then let's all take our right foot to the ground. Lift your hips, reach your right fingertips towards your left fingertips. So you're just creating an arch with the body. And then release. Keep your right foot on the ground. Engage your core. Take your weight into your left shin. Lift the torso all the way up. Nice. Right hand on the left leg. Left fingertips lift high. Reach through the left fingers. Start to arch up and over that right leg. Gate pose. Make sure that your left thigh is right underneath you. So those toes can come out back behind. Yeah, nice. Breathe. What's that? Yeah, it does make balancing a little easier. Woo. Breathing into your left side body. I don't know what to do with that. Good. Take another breath into those ribs. All right, and then start to round forward towards the earth, all the way back towards the front of your mat. Plant both palms on the ground. Turn your right toes down. Step back with your left foot. Good, nice strong plank pose. Take your knees to the earth. Shift your weight forward, bend your elbows straight back, lower chest and chin. Glide down to the earth, rolling your shoulders open. Press your elbows back. Hands are light, back is strong, cobra. Pressing into your hands, lift to hands and knees, and pause. Nice, we have another side. Left foot comes back behind you. Push into your hands to get a little gentle stretch into that left calf muscle. Okay. And then take the press out. Slide your right fingertips forward. Keep your hips square, core strong. Hover hand and foot. Lift them up so that they are in line, nice and straight. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, draw elbow and knee underneath, round the spine, tuck in nice and tight. Inhale to lift and expand. Exhale, squeezing in. One more, inhale to reach. Exhale to draw in. Inhaling, opening up. Keep your left foot high, take your right hand down. Your right toes are coming out to the right. Stack your left hip over your right. Reach your left fingertips high. If you need the extra stability, take your left foot down. Otherwise, keep it lifted. And put some energy into that foot, reaching it out through space, reaching through your fingertips. Try to take the back bend out here. Just lengthen the spine, lengthen the body. It's like a side plank almost. Or a Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Now taking your left foot to the earth, reach your left fingertips up and overhead so you're creating an arch, a curve. Should feel good in the side body. And then strengthening your core, lift up. Take your weight into your right shin, rise all the way up. Nice, left hand to the left leg, reach your right fingertips high. Lift through the left arm and arc up and over your left leg. Gate pose, breathe into your right ribs. Breathing deeply. And start to curve your top hand down towards the earth and then all the way towards the front of your mat. Plant both palms on the ground. Press to a plank. Go ahead and hold for a nice deep breath. Feel your core strengthening. Arms are strong. Energy out through your heels. Good. Either lower the knees or keep them lifted. Shifting your weight forward. Bend your elbows straight back. Hover at 90 degrees. Inhaling up and out if you'd like to come to your upward dog or coming to the earth and coming into a nice gentle cobra. Exhale back downward facing dog. Nice. Pedal out your feet. First downward dog of the day. Your calves should already be stretched though, so it should feel good. Lengthening the spine, press through your hands. Lift up and out of your sits bones. Breathing deeply here. Take another deep, long breath. Good. Inhale, hover your right foot. Exhale, squeeze your right knee into your chest. Step your right foot through your hands. Take your left heel to the ground. Square your hips, engage your core. Start to rise up to your warrior one. Good. Just a deep breath here. Find your inhale. Let your exhale float your hands back to the ground. Nice and slowly walk to your plank. Either knees to the ground or your full chaturanga. Inhaling up and out, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Your inhale hovers your left foot. Exhale, left knee tight to the chest. Step your left foot through. Right heel to the ground. Inhale, rise up. Ooh. Find your breath, nice and deep. Inhale. Soften your shoulders. Exhale, hands come down to the ground. Step back to your plank. Your choice, vinyasa or downward dog. Three deep, long breaths here or in a child's pose, your choice. And start to walk your feet towards your hands, nice and slow. Keep your feet about hips width apart. Soften your knees and just let your torso pour over your legs. And on your inhale, lengthen your spine. Hover your hands on your shins or the earth. Exhale, soften back down into that forward fold. Take that again. Inhale, lengthen your spine, strong core. Exhale, soften back down. One more time, maybe this time floating your arms out to either side. Lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold back down to your forward fold. Soften your knees even more. Dip your hips. Engage your core. Rise up into a chair pose. You can heel toe your feet a little closer together if you like. Tuck your tailbones, strong core, soft shoulders. Utkatasana, deep breath in. Let your exhale take you to a forward fold. Your inhale lengthens your spine. Maybe you float your arms once again if it feels good. Exhale, back to fold. Knees become deeply bent. Walk back to your plank. Either straight to downward dog or flowing through a vinyasa. Good. Keep that core strength even as you move into your chaturanga so your hips don't dip any lower than the rest of your body. Inhale, right leg hovers. Nice. Square your hips. Maybe that heel lifts a little more. Exhale, knee to chest, nice and tight. Step your foot through your hands. Take your left heel to the ground. Inhalation lifts you up. Good. Let's take an exhale to your warrior two. Feet are in alignment, hips are wide open, chest open, arms open. Deep inhalation. Let your exhale cartwheel your hands to the ground. Walk to your plank. Your choice, downward dog or flowing through, building heat in the body. Let your inhale float your left foot. Good, hips are squared. Maybe that foot lifts a little more. Your exhale draws knee to chest, tight squeeze in, step your foot through. Back heel comes down to the earth, square your hips, strong core, rise up. Good, deep breath in. Let your exhale spiral everything open. Warrior two. Lifting that front hip point even as you sink through the thigh. Let your exhale cartwheel the hands to the earth. Step it back. Flowing through or pausing in your downward dog. Three breaths in, downward dog or child's pose. And whatever pose you're in, thinking about the spine, thinking about lengthening it in your downward facing dog. Using the shoulders to roll out away from the ears and then activate the hands. Pressing energy from the palms all the way up through the spine. Back down the legs to the heels. Step or hop your feet to your hands. Nice. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Maybe the arms float. Exhale, come back into that forward fold and then heel toe your feet a little wider than hips width apart. Right hand to left elbow, left hand to right elbow. Let your head be heavy. Let the weight of the head and the arms stretch your back, your shoulders, your neck. Maybe you sway a little gently side to side. Nice, really relax the head. Any tension in the neck, let it go. Maybe look gently left and right to release. Good. And then let go of your elbows, hands come to the ground. And heel toe your feet back together. Coming to your chair pose, soft knees and hips. Strengthen your core, rise up. Engaging the core, supporting the back with the strong muscles of your abdominals so that you can sink a little deeper. Weight in your heels. And let your exhale take you to a forward fold. Inhale to lengthen, arms float if you like. Exhale, soften the knees, plant the palms, walk back to plank or hop back, landing in chaturanga. Flowing through the vinyasa of your choice. All right, inhale, lift your right leg. Good. And this time, we're gonna bend the right knee. Stack your right hip over your left. Try to keep your shoulders square, weight even in your hands. Just a little opening in the side body. Deep breath into that. And then keep your right knee bent, but square your hips. Take your right knee to your right elbow. Nice. And then step your right foot outside your hands. Good. Good. So get it nice and close. You can heel toe it in close to your right hand. And then lengthen your spine. You can come up onto your fingertips. We're really creating space through the back, through the crown of your head. And then on an exhale, let your back knee come down. Keep the toes tucked. Keep length in the spine. A little deeper stretch. And then power up your back leg once again. Exhale, take that back knee down, lift through the spine. Powering up your back leg once again. Flex your right foot so your your right foot so your right toes come off the ground. You're gonna roll to the pinky toe edge of both feet. And then you're starting to stack your right hip over your left. And maybe your hips gently sink towards the ground. So this is a really deep opener here in your IT band. If it's too much, you can kind of come in and out nice and gently. Good. And then rotate your hips forward, toes are on the ground. Keeping length in the spine. Start to bend your elbows softly so your torso is coming a little closer to the ground. If this is enough for you here with your arms straight, you can come back up. Try to keep your hips from gliding out to the right. Try to keep them square. If you want to come a little deeper, maybe you walk down onto your forearms. Good. Square the hips, strong core. Breathing deeply. Good. If at any point you need to drop that back knee down, or if you just prefer the feeling of that stretch, feel free. Good. We're taking one more deep breath here. Power up your back leg. Walk up to your hands if you're on your forearms. Good, and then walk your hands a little further to the left. Turn your right toes in. Take your left heel to the ground. Keep your weight over on that right foot. Walk your hands to center. Nice. And then just shift your weight over to the left. And back over to the right. Moving with your own breath. You can get as low as feels good or stay up as high as you need to. You're just shifting back and forth. Nice stretch, opening those hips up with a little movement. If you'd like to bring a little bit more power into it, you can float the arms side to side and shift without the assistance of your arms. Just seeing how that feels. What your body prefers. Good. If that's too much, you can also pause at center. Good. And then let's all meet with the weight on the right. Take your hands to frame your right foot. Turn both toes to face the front of your mat. And let's take our left heel down. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Good. Notice if your hips feel a little more open in this Virabhadrasana. Lift through your fingers, soften through your shoulders. Scoop the tailbone underneath so that you can lengthen the spine. Deep breath in. Open up, warrior two. Good, dropping in a little deeper into that right thigh as you lift the right hip. Lengthen the torso. If your shoulders get tired, you can always bend your elbows. Really think about powering up the legs. Pressing into the blade edge of your back foot. Imagining you're drawing that right heel in to activate the muscles underneath that right thigh. Long, slow breaths, warrior two. Good. Let's find a little movement here as you inhale, lengthening the legs, lift the arms. As you exhale, sink back in. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, lift. And keep the legs long, but take your arms wide apart. Heel toe your back foot in if you need a little different adjustment for your Trikonasana pose. Glide your hips back. Take your right hand down, lift your left hand high. Good. Breathing into the length that this pose creates. Long, slow breaths. Take a deep inhalation, and then as you exhale, soften your right knee. You can take your right elbow to knee or keep those left fingertips towards the earth. You're in your side angle pose. Use your strong core to keep torso rolling open towards the sky. Tucking your right hip underneath, squaring up. Good. Long, slow breaths. And let your next exhale take your left hand to the ground. Roll to the ball of your back foot. And just step back to a plank. Your choice, Vinyasa, or peel your body back into a downward facing dog. Giving your body a little moment here in your downward dog. Find length in your spine and the backs of your legs. And then inhale, lift your left leg. Good. Bend your left knee, stacking left hip over right. Try to keep the weight even in the shoulders and hands. Exhale, taking left knee to left elbow. Step your left foot outside your hands. Good. Creating length in the spine, maybe even coming up onto fingertips. Lengthening the body, power through your back heel. On an exhale, dip that back knee to the ground, keeping length in the back. Power up the back leg, lift. Your exhale takes you back down, lengthen the spine. And lifting back up. Good, take your hands to the earth, flex your left foot, left toes lift, roll to the pinky toe edge of both feet. stacking left hip over right. The hips can sink gently towards the ground. You can either keep both hands on the earth, or if it feels good to take that left hand back behind you, you can. Rotate back to the front of the mat. Both sets of toes on the ground. Good. Lengthen your spine, power up your back leg, keep your hips square, and then start to dip your torso a little lower towards the earth, maybe coming down to forearms. Breathing here. Try to take a few breaths in this full pose with the leg long in the back. And then if you prefer, after you've had a few breaths, dropping that back knee down, feel free. Your lizard pose, breathing into that deep hip opening. Try to stay with the breath here. And then if you're on your forearms, walk to hands. Take your hands a little further to the right, turn your left toes in, take your right heel to the ground. Keep the weight over in that left leg as you walk your hands to center. And then start to shift your weight into your right leg and then into your left. Good. Again, this is your practice. If you want to move your arms out to either side, you want to take it floating left and right for a little more power. Feel free, or if you want to just pause at center and get that lengthening in the back of the hamstrings, that is an option as well. Stay with the breath. And then, as you're ready, pause with weight on the left side. Taking hands to the ground, turn your toes to face the front of the mat. Good. Right heel comes to the ground. Square your hips, engage your core, rise up, warrior one. Finding your pose, finding your stability here. Making your way in, softening the shoulders as you reach through fingertips. Deep breath. Let it float open to your warrior two. Good. Breathing deeply. As you sink into your left hip, lift up through the hip point. So you're sinking through the thigh, nice and heavy through the legs. But then notice if that right or left hip is tilted forward, lift it up. Engage the core and rise as you breathe. Softening the elbows if you need to, or keeping the arms nice and powered up and strong. Energy through that back foot to energize the leg. Look down, make sure that that front knee is pointing right over your toes. Let's take a little movement. As you inhale, lengthen the legs, arms float high. As you exhale, sink it back down. Inhaling up. Exhale to root down. Inhale to rise up. Keep your legs as they are, open arms wide. Readjust your feet if you need to. Slide your hips back, lower the left, lift through the right arm. Finding length in your low back. Breathing into your Trikonasana. And either taking your gaze upwards or down towards the foot, if that feels better on your neck. Good. Long, slow breaths into the length that this pose is creating. Take another deep inhalation. And as you exhale, soften the left knee. Your left elbow can come to knee, or keep those fingers extending towards the earth. The legs are strong. Torso spiraling open. Side angle pose. Breathing into it. And then exhaling your right hand to the ground. Coming down to both palms, lift that right heel up. Step your left foot back. Your choice, Vinyasa or downward facing dog. Couple moments in downward dog or a child's pose. Really give yourself that option of child's pose. Nice. Good. A little moment here before we begin to flow through a little more movement, a little faster breath. Cat and cow if you need it, or just pausing in that soft child's pose. And then from your child's pose, start to slowly make your way to hands and knees. Draw the knees under the hips. Take a little cat and cow movement. You can make it as creative as you like. And then from that place of fluid movement, start to press back to your downward dog. Exploring the outer limits of your downward dog shape as well. Just rolling through the legs, the hips, the shoulders, and the wrists. For one more breath. And then on the exhale, just find yourself pausing in that downward dog. And allow your inhale to float your right leg high. Bend the right knee, stack right hip over left, open it up. Exhale, take right knee as high as you can on the right arm. Look forward and maybe you give a little gentle bend of the elbows and then press them straight. Step your right foot forward. Whew. Nice. Good. Let's take our left heel to the ground, and as you inhale, float all the way open to your warrior two. Good. Pausing here for a deep breath. Deep inhale. Exhale it out. Flowing inhale, reach the arms high, lengthen the legs. Open the arms, glide your hips back, come into your Trikonasana. Good. Pause here or start to make your way towards your Ardha Chandrasana. Soften your front knee. Reach your front fingertips out and forward. Do you want to block? Do you want one or are you good? Okay. Nice. Powering up the legs as you move. Stacking left hip over right. Engaging your core, lifting through fingertips. Good. Another option, stay here or take a little more weight into your right hand. Bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand to meet your ankle. And then roll your left shoulder open. Maybe you gently press that heel back behind you. Good. It's a challenging move. Really takes some open hips and quads and shoulders.
I'd be reaching with like a way open left shoulder. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So if you were able to get that arm and that leg a little further back behind you, that's where the connection would happen. But I would actually work on just stacking your left hip over your right a little bit more first. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the more that hip is stacked, the more solid it will feel, actually. Another breath in your Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. And then soften your right knee, step your left foot way back. Take your hands to the ground. Stepping right foot alongside left. Chaturanga. Open up to back bend. Take an extra breath here. Really roll your shoulders open. Breathe into the collarbones. And make your way back to a downward facing dog. All right, moving right into it. Inhale, left leg up. Let your exhale bend the knees, stacking hip over hip, square shoulders. Bringing your left knee as high up on your left arm as you can. Maybe you look forward, gently bend the elbows. Press it back up. Step your left foot outside your hands. Nice. Right heel comes down. Swirl your right arm open. Left arm reaches forward. Warrior two. Sinking legs into the earth as the feet press down into the ground. Feel that energize your pose. Rooting down, getting grounded to feel a little lighter. Nice. Watch that front knee, making sure it's tracking right over your toes. Yeah, nice. Let your inhale float your arms high, legs long. Exhale, sinking back into your Trikonasana. Any adjustments needed? staying here, or softening your left knee, reaching left fingers out and up. Press through your right heel, press through your right fingertips. Your left hand can be gently on the earth or a block, or maybe you use that strong core to hover the left fingers. The more you stack the hips, the more you reach through your limbs, the stronger the pose begins to feel. If you'd like to take that challenge on, take your left hand a little more securely to the ground, bend your right knee, reaching your right hand back for your foot. Roll your right shoulder open and softly press that foot straight back behind you. Breathing wherever you are. And then releasing the pose. Soften your left knee, step your right foot way back. And then taking hands to the ground, step to plank. Vinyasa or downward dog. Take an extra breath in that back bend into the chest. And then just press straight back to a child's pose. Knees to the ground, hips press back to heels. And soften down. Good. Nice. We're going to flow through one more round of this vinyasa. I'm going to give you some more choices. And just keep in mind that they're choices. You can always decide that they are not something you would like to do today. You can always stick with the previous flow. As you're ready, make your way to that downward facing dog. Inhale to lift your right leg. Bending your right knee, stacking right hip over left. Choice number one. If you'd like, let those toes drift towards the ground beneath you. Lift your hips, lift your heart. Your right arm can be alongside your right ear. Breathe into the body. And then taking your strong core to flip you back over, bent right knee. Take your right knee as high up on your right arm as you can. Looking forward, bend your elbows. Maybe your left hip comes all the way down to your left elbow. Maybe you shift your weight forward and that left foot hovers. Nice. Good job. Take it all the way back to a downward dog when you're ready. You're going to get one more chance on this lovely, lovely arm balance. So lift that right foot up. And then bend the knee and just tuck the knee to that right elbow. And then step it outside. Yeah, step the foot down. Okay, so we're coming in a little different way this time. So get your foot as close to your hand as you can. And then start to bend those elbows down. Take your right hand behind your right foot. You might have to scoot your left hand back a little bit to get it in line. And then just try to get that leg as much over your arm or shoulder as you can. And then you can use your toes to scooch your right foot a little further forward. Square your hips. Take your hips down towards your elbows. And try coming in that slightly slower fashion. Yeah, inch those toes forward, right? One feels way easier to some people and one feels way harder. I'm going to guess that we're all into the more flowing motion. Some people love this way, though. It makes a lot more sense to other people's bodies.
Is the right foot trying to come out?
Yeah, so eventually the full pose would take that leg up and out. So it's like a little splits there.
Oh, and you're on your left elbow.
Yeah, so you use your left elbow like a little kickstand underneath your left hip.
And it's parallel to the right hand?
Yeah, they should be in line. Yeah, try powering up the front leg first in this version. Nice. There you go. Awesome. When you're done playing around, let's just take it back to our downward dog. Good. Hard work, huh? Let's go right into the other side. So, pretend you have no idea where you're going. You're just discovering how it feels to lift your left leg off the ground. Bend your left knee, stack your left hip over your right, let it open up. And then maybe, just maybe, if it feels good in the body, the toes drop back behind you. The hips lift, the heart lifts, left arm alongside the left ear. And then with a strong core, you roll back over that right foot. The left knee is bent. Take your left knee as high up on your left arm as you can. So your weight really comes forward. You bend your elbows, right hip comes down. Power up your left leg. Reach through your left toes, through your right toes. Nice. Play around with it. See how it feels. Good. Press it back to a downward dog when you're ready.
We're trying to get in the same pose.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, same exact thing, just two modes of entry. So if it was not your favorite to take the other version, you don't have to. You can keep playing around with that more fluid movement. Or if you want to play around, I'm going to do it up here. So lift your left leg, bend your left knee, taking left knee to elbow, and then just step your left foot outside your hand. So you're bending your elbows. You're trying to get that nice low shoulder underneath your leg as much as possible. And then squaring your elbows back, start to inch that toe forward. So you've got to shift your weight forward and really square your hips. You're taking your right hip down to your right elbow and then keep inching that left foot out. Power up the left leg. From that reach, the back toes might hover. Come out as gracefully as you can.
That's where, like, if I had a bunch of hamstring
Yeah.
I would just, like, go
Totally. Yeah, so you can do the pose without lengthening that front leg.
Yeah.
But it is harder because you don't have as much like forward weight. Yeah. It just takes a little more lift in the core and playing around with it. Nice, you guys. Good. Find your downward dog. Good. Just breathing here. Get some length in your spine. Some length in your hips. Got very scrunched up in that little arm balance, so lengthen it out. Nice. Good. And then inhale, lift your right leg. And let's slide the right knee through the hands. Knee coming through, knee to the earth. Use your back toes to square your hips, lengthen your spine, and just allow yourself to pour into your pigeon pose. Use blocks or blankets or support, whatever you need. And just allow yourself to relax into the pose. Nice. Try to keep your hips square. Noting any tension in your body and using exhales to soften them. And just noticing where you hold that tension, where you have to keep returning to, reminding yourself to release, to soften. Allowing your next inhale to lift you up. Take your weight into your right hip and just sweep your left leg forward. And use your hands to turn yourself to face that leg. Sole of the right foot comes in nice and close. Reach your arms up high. Good. And then starting to hinge at the hips, leaning over that leg. Take your hands to the ground. And allow your torso to soften. If taking that leg in adds a lot of tension in your low back, just lengthen both legs and take a forward fold. Good. And if you know that you have some openness in your hips, and maybe you want to take this another step, tucking your right foot into your left hip. And then laying your torso over that. Good. So when you move that foot up, make sure that the motion comes from your hip rather than your knee. So you kind of want to support this, move it back, and then slide it in. If it feels like you really have to torque the knee up and over, then it might not be a pose for now. Yeah, it's okay if your knee is a little lifted unless you feel tension in your knee. Like if it feels uncomfortable in your knee, then I would say maybe today is not the day. Yeah, I love this pose. I think it feels so good. Take one more nice long breath. And exhale it out. Your next inhale rolls you up to seated. So wherever you got to, come back to that initial place. So your right sole of your foot is next to your left thigh for all of us. And then we're going to take some weight into our right shin. Your right hand comes back behind you. Press into your right shin. Lift your left fingertips up and over. You're just coming into a nice, lovely back bend. Exhale your hips down to the ground. Maybe take it again. Inhale, rise up. And exhale to the earth. Good. Lift your right knee up and then cross your right foot over your left leg. Let's just keep that extended pose. Right fingertips come behind you. Lengthen your spine. Left hand lifts high and then twist from your core to look over your right shoulder. Your right arm can either hug that, your left arm, can hug that right knee in, or you can use the elbow to gently twist. Breathing softly. Good. Lengthen the spine with one more inhale. Exhale, release the twist. Use your hands to release that right leg. And take the knee to the ground. Cross your left foot forward, rock up over those feet into your downward dog. If you'd like to flow through a vinyasa, feel free. Evening out the two sides. And then whenever you're ready, the left leg lifts, the knee bends and comes through the hands. Using the back leg to square your hips, lengthening your spine, and then pouring the torso over that left leg. No rush to come into the pose. Make your way in slowly. Make sure you have the support that you need underneath that left hip if it's off the earth. And then as you find your way into the pose, seeking out any place where you find tension in your body. Noticing the body's habits, where you might always seem to need to relax. Maybe just noticing the mind's habits as well, the thoughts that you keep needing to release. And as you exhale, imagining that you're just releasing both any tension in the body, any tension in the mind. Begin to rise out of the pose. Weight into the left hip, right leg sweeps forward. You're either drawing that left sole of the foot into the right thigh or you're lengthening the leg. Good. If you want to come into that deeper little hip opener, take your hand to knee and foot. And then slide the knee back so you're opening up the hip. And then from that place, move the foot into the hip crease of the right leg. Nice. Sit up nice and tall. Lengthen the spine, reach the arms. And then hinging from your hips. As you reach your edge, let your hands come to the ground. Either keep length in your spine or you can allow yourself to soften over that leg. rising up. Left arm comes back behind you. If that foot, you guys are good. Weight into your left shin. Lift the hips up. Open the chest. Just let this feel good. It should feel like a hip opener. The spine nice and long. Exhale, hips come down. If you'd like another round, as you inhale, just float them back up. And exhale it down. Lift your left knee up, crossing left foot over the right leg. Flex through the right foot. Left fingertips back behind, right arm lifts. Twisting from the center, connecting elbow to knee. Keep length in the spine. Each inhale lifts you up through the crown of your head. Each exhale, you might twist and soften a little bit more. One more inhale. Imagine you're creating more space across the chest. Let your exhale bring you back to center. Release that leg. And let's just lengthen both. Give yourself a really soft fold forward over your legs. And then one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, rolling up. Bending the knees, take the soles of the feet to the ground. And then one vertebrae at a time, you're coming on to your back. Slide the heels in even closer to your hips. Arms are alongside the body. Stepping into the feet and keep that rolling motion going as you roll tailbone up off the mat. Maybe hands connect beneath the back, moving shoulder blades underneath your chest to lift a little more. Maybe staying here in your Setu Bandhasana, you might use a block for a supported bridge, the block underneath your sacrum. Or if you'd like to come into Urdhva Dhanurasana, your wheel pose, you just come down, place your hands alongside your ears, fingertips towards your shoulders, elbows squeezing in. Press through hands and feet. Nice. Feeling the shoulder blades on the back, and then pressing the heart gently through the shoulders. You can take a few rounds if you're coming into that full wheel pose. Our spine likes to have a little bit of time to come deeply into those poses. Just giving yourself maybe 2 or 3 rounds, trying to hold for 3 to 5 breaths each time. If you'd like to play with any other variations, feel free to lift one leg, to come down onto elbows, whatever you like. Give yourself a little gentle windshield wiper of the knees in between poses. A little low back release. If you'd like to come into another round, feel free. If you'd like to get upside down in another way, this is your time. So if you want to come into a headstand, a forearm stand, a handstand, a shoulder stand, maybe you even just want to put your feet in the air. You could take a halasana, a plow pose, just taking feet up and over the head and then trying to lengthen the spine up towards the sky. You can bend your elbows and support the back, lifting legs up high. Good. Whatever inversion you're in, remembering to use the core to really lengthen the spine to support the back. Nice, good corrections. Staying in this pose for a couple of breaths. Coming down whenever you're ready. Good. Give yourself a moment of pause if you were in your headstand, taking that child's pose. If you were in a shoulder stand or halasana, you might take Matsyendrasana. It's called fish pose. Press into your elbows and just lift the chest. You can come to rest on the top of your head. And whenever you're ready to come out of those poses, take your time. You're going to make your way to lay flat on your back. Good for your savasana. If you'd like anything to cover your eyes, if you have something close by, feel free to grab it. Good. Slowing the breath. Taking in all the movement of your practice and allowing it to settle into stillness. allowing your breath to deepen. Movement in your fingers and toes. Making your way slowly to bend the knees and roll to one side. Using arms to press yourself to seated. Hands at heart center, eyes closed. Let's take 3 deep breaths together, inhaling, exhaling out. Inhaling. Exhale it out. Inhale, draw in. And as you exhale, create the sound of Om. Namaste. Thank you guys. I'm sorry for the short savasana. Somehow I go over time even though I get so much. There's so much I want to do.
Thank God I did this class. My body is just like screaming.
Oh, yeah.